Hi, um, it's me again. This is my second video. I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who watched the first video and actually took the time out to comment and subscribe even. I have subscribers. That's amazing. Um, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Everybody was so encouraging and it just reminded me of how awesome YouTube is. So, um, as I said in my first video, this is, me doing these are a way of sort of chronicling, documenting what I'm feeling at any given point in time, in light of the things that are going on in my life. And so this weekend, I went to a training for a ministry called the Rose of Sharon, and this is a ministry that goes out to prostitutes. It's connected with a church that has a treatment facility that kind of helps people get rehabilitated. It's very holistic. They care for everything. They take care of everything from medical care to counseling, their spiritual needs. It's an awesome program. But so I was in this training, and we were talking specifically about human trafficking and how young girls get introduced into this life. And I don't know if you guys know this, I was blown away. When I hear the term human trafficking, I think of something that happens in other countries, right? It's not something that happens here. But there are an estimated 100,000 children, American children, who have been trafficked within this country, right? Like American children trafficked in America, and many of those children are caught up in the sex industry. They are forced into prostitution, and the average age of a child being targeted is 11 to 14 years old. 11 to 14 years old. Just disgusting. But what got me the most was they were talking about how these men target these girls and how they find them and the places that they find them. One woman said that the Mall of America in Minnesota is actually a huge spot for people to target young girls. They also hang out at schools, at malls in general, group homes. And this idea of hanging out at schools, that struck a chord with me, because I'm thinking, the men who are trafficking these girls are men. They're grown men. And like I said, the average age of entry into this life is 11 to 14 years old. So that means that there are grown behind men sitting in front of junior high and high schools targeting children. And so I'm thinking, like, how in the world, like, how does a person who intends to prey on children come to think that a school is going to be a safe space for them to prey, right? And I was just remembering being in high school, and there would be, 20-year-old guys who would be coming back to the high school to pick up girls. Like, they treated our schools like they were, hot spots to get dates. And it was completely acceptable, completely acceptable. And what was troubling about it is that the onus was put on the girl not to be fast, right? The onus was put on the child to know better than to talk to those grown men. So the girls who went over and talked to those grown men, they were considered the fast girls, the bad girls, right? The good girls knew to leave those boys alone, to leave those men alone. No one looked twice at the men who are at a school targeting children. And it got me to thinking about the way we, especially in black communities, and it's not just black communities, I really think it has to do with class, because I've talked to a lot of friends who are white, who grew up in poor white communities, and the same kind of thing happens. I think it has to do with, in poor communities, there's this way of looking at children. We expect folk to grow up fast. You know what I mean? We expect you to grow up fast. And so when our children start to do things that, are coming out of their undeveloped brain, right? Children do crazy things because they're kids. But when they start to do those things, we look at them as grown people making bad decisions instead of seeing them as children who are vulnerable. So when the little girls in high school or in junior high would go talking to the older guys who had no point there was no reason for them to be there in the first place, you don't look at the guy and say, how dare you? You look at the girl and say, stop being fast. Does that make sense? So, and again, I'm not trying to say that every guy, who is trying to pick up a girl at a high school or a junior high is a pimp and that they're trying to lure them into prostitution. The issue isn't what their intentions are. Some of them are just, nasty and like little girls. But the issue is that becomes normalized. Like, we've made that normal. So if I am a pimp, if I am someone who's trying to prey on a child and trying to lure them into this life, it's completely reasonable for me to think, oh, I know where I can go. I'll just go over to the high school because no one's going to look at me funny. No one's going to tell me to go away. No one's going to call the police. No one's going to question my presence there, right? And in fact, when they see girls, spending time with me or hanging out by my car, no one is going to, that's not going to raise a flag. People will look at that little girl and say, yeah, there's another one, little fast-tailed girl, and move on. I feel like we've created a culture where perversion is just acceptable. We've created a culture where our children are not safe. And we have to, think about I have two daughters. Now, my daughters have been born into families with two parents that love them very much, and we do everything in our power to protect them, right? We monitor what they see in our home. We monitor what they hear in their home. We make sure that the spaces that they enter, to the best of our ability, are safe spaces, right? We pray for them. We talk to them. We nurture them. They did not choose that. They happened to have been born to two people who, one, cared enough to do it, and two, knew how to do it, right? But every child is not born into that kind of a situation. There are children who are born into homes where they are abused from as early as they can remember. There are children who are born into homes with people who have the best intentions but no knowledge, who have no idea how to protect them or what to protect them from, right? So then I feel like it's our responsibility as a community to make sure those children are safe. No one should think it is okay to prey on a child at a school, at a school. Babies as young as 11 years old at a school. So, yeah, God really stirred my heart about that and this issue of human trafficking in general. And I'm going to put some information in the description box about human trafficking if you want to get more informed about that. There's a book I just read called Renting Lacy, and I'll put that in the author in the description box. But it is a really informative book, difficult to read, but very informative. And there's sites all over the web that are talking about this issue and other types of things. So I'll put some stuff out there. But yeah, it ought not happen, right? That we need to be able, and especially those of us who are believers, who are Christians, who are people of God, like, we ought to stand up and just say, absolutely not. You will not prey on our children. You will not prey on our children. Yeah, so if if this is an issue that you know things about or you have information about, I'd love to hear your comments in the description box, or just your thoughts in general. Yeah, because I think this is a big issue, and it's something that people are just beginning to talk about. And there needs to be more information, because the way that we even look, when you see a woman on the street, when you see a prostitute, and she may be an adult, she may be a teenager, but there's this mentality that we have that, oh yeah, well, she chose this life, right? This is her decision. We have no idea. This could be someone who's been on the street since she was a child, right? You have no idea what people's stories are and how they came to be there. And I'm sorry, I am hard pressed to believe that anybody chooses that life. No one grows up and say, hey, when I grow up, I want to be a prostitute. I want to have men mistreat me and use me and devalue me and demoralize me. That's what I want when I grow up. Like, no one chooses that. Yeah. So that's something that's on my mind, and I wanted to go ahead and make a video about it. And like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts and any information that you might want to share. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome and amazing day. Bye.